Well, here's a remake of probably the first long Silverliner 5 cab ride I ever did back in February of 2020, riding from Philadelphia to the quaint county seat of Bucks County, Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Note the indentation of the right-of-way. We just came out of the new line built from what was then Market East Station, was zigzagging onto the original alignment out of the old Reading Terminal, which was closed in November of '84. Well, you just heard that beautiful K3LA that the Silverliner 5s have, which sounds like the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, whereas the Silverliner 4 horns sound like an amateur choir that's low on oxygen. Yeah, we just left Market East. We're heading for Doylestown, one of the longest rides on Septa Regional Rail. Getting back to the Silverliner 4 horns, a friend of mine and a subscriber of mine who lives up around the Jenkintown area heard the horn of Silverliner 4 car 111 the other day, and he described it as, well, I can't say it because this is a family channel. And this is Temple University, one of the bigger colleges in Philadelphia. Temple University Station originally opened back in 1911, lasted until 1985, when it was demolished for little tiny wooden platforms. And then when the Railworks project took place in the early 90s, they built this current station with 2 long high-level platforms. Station is North Broad Street. Seems like the automated announcements aren't working on this train. This station today is called North Broad. It was built in 1993 as part of the Railworks project. It replaced the old 1928-built Reading North Broad Street station with 2 Long Island platforms that served all 4 tracks. There was even a motel here and an underground passageway to the North Philadelphia Broad Street subway station. And up until 1970, you could ride a train here and get off and walk over to Connie Mack Stadium to see a Philadelphia Phillies game.
Next stop, Wayne Junction. This is a wheelchair accessible station.
Oh, that's better. At least I don't have to tell you where we are. Well, we just passed under the Northeast Corridor of Amtrak, and the line on the left heads up towards Norristown. It used to be the old main line to Reading and Pottsville. The interlocking here is referred to as 16th Street. Well, passing underneath what's the old Pennsylvania Railroad Chestnut Hill branch. Now it's Septa's Chestnut Hill West branch. We're passing by the old Reading station of Tioga, which I believe was closed in 1988. The interlocking here is called Hunt, and you can see the old platforms of the former Nicetown station, which was closed in 1988. And we're switching over, approaching Wayne Junction Station. Overhead bridge is Roosevelt Boulevard.
This stop, Wayne Junction. Watch the gap when exiting.
Roosevelt Boulevard is otherwise known as U.S. Highway 1, which runs from Key West, Florida to Fort Kent, Maine. Approaching Wayne Junction Station. Got a nice old depot here built around the turn of the 20th century. This is where the former Reading Company Chestnut Hill branch diverges. Now Septa's Chestnut Hill East line. The station building here at Wayne Junction was built in 1900. Wayne Junction has a shop complex for Septa, and it's also the site of Robert's Yard, where they store equipment. Up until 1981, you could catch trains from here to Newark, New Jersey via the Wall Street and Crusader trains, and even the old B&O Royal Blue train between Washington and Jersey City stopped here. And up until 1981, you could also catch Bud RDC trains up to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Hey, play that funky music. You'll hear a lot of this beautiful K3LA horn on this ride, as there are lots of crossings, especially on the Doylestown branch between Lansdale and Doylestown. Passing by the Wayne Junction shops and yards.
Just wanted to let you guys know the store is not working, so whatever stop you guys are going to be getting off of, if we get off on that side, you're going to have to go down that second set of the doors, okay? I'll kind of wave you along and everything, but I just figured you might do it.
These switches are still part of Wayne interlocking, which is pretty extensive. And on the right-hand side, you'll see a railroad track join us, briefly. That's CSX's main line from Florida to New England. We'll join up with them briefly at Newtown Junction. We'll thump over the switches there. That's where the Septa Fox Chase line diverges also. A lot of workers out today. This is the former site of Logan Station, which was closed in 1992. Nearby is the Broad Street subway station called Logan. Off to the right is the Fox Chase line of Septa. That used to go all the way to Newtown years ago, until 1983, or 1981 rather. They ran RDCs up to Newtown. This is the site of the former Reading Tabor station, which was closed in the early 90s. Up to now, for the most part, we've been on the old Reading 9th Street branch. This is the location where you joined up with the Reading's North Penn or Bethlehem branch. And this is the Fern Rock Transportation Center, where you can connect with the Broad Street subway to downtown and the sports stadiums, the south end of town.
That's not the Fern Rock Transportation Center.
Want to go to a Phillies game or a Flyers game or a Sixers game or an Eagles game? You get on the Broad Street subway here and ride it to the very last stop. And they're all right there, within walking distance. This Fern Rock Transportation Center was built as a result of rail works that I spoke of, where the trestle that the old Reading 9th Street branch traversed was in very bad shape. They had to shut the tracks down south of here, necessitating building this station to allow people to get on the Broad Street subway to go downtown. Not a very popular undertaking at the time. And the interlocking here is called, to no one's surprise, Tabor. And this is the former site of the old Fern Rock station, which was closed in the early 90s when the transportation center was opened. Even though the tracks to Philadelphia have been reopened, Fern Rock Transportation Center station is still a pretty popular stop, because you can get off there and get on the Broad Street subway to go to sporting events in the sporting complex south of downtown. And they run express service during sporting events. I once boarded a subway train there where the conductor announced, "Welcome aboard the Flyers Express." This is Melrose Park Station. Melrose Park years ago was called Oak Lane. And the next station we're coming up to is Elkins Park. Nice stone depot on the left. The Elkins Park station is located in Cheltenham Township, and the station was built in 1898.
Next stop, Jenkintown, Wingcote.
Yes. Oh man, I just.
And we're approaching one of the busier stations on Septa Regional Rail, Jenkintown Wingcote. Wingcote is where Reggie Jackson was born. Here is where the West Trenton line of
This
Septa
stop,
diverges off to the right.
Jenkintown, Wingcote.
The interlocking here is called
Watch your
South
step and
Jenk.
exiting.
I mean, you're on the thing.
And we're lined to go to the left here, up the Bethlehem branch. West Trenton line goes off to the right. That used to be the route of the old Crusader and Wall Street RDC trains that ran from Reading Terminal to Newark Penn Station. Years before that, they ran from Reading Terminal to Jersey City. Station is called Jenkintown Wingcote. The tracks divide the two communities. The station was previously called just Jenkintown, but Wingcote wanted to be part of the action. The beautiful stone depot here was built in 1931 to replace an older facility.
Well, she's.
The interlocking here where the tracks divide is called Jenkin.
She's on morphine and Adeline. Out of it. And she's. Well, I don't see it. I mean, she recognized me yesterday when I was in. I went down to see her. And the nurse said she's.
And we'll approach our first grade crossing. We'll get to hear this beautiful K3LA horn. Approach another grade crossing, which is Rice's Mill Road. I had been up this way on a previous ride, and just before Christmas, rode as far as Link Belt. It was a beautiful sunny day. Today's cloudy, but this time I'm going to go all the way to the end of Doylestown. Approaching Glenside. A little ways past Glenside is Carmel Junction, where the Septa Warminster line goes off. That used to be the old Reading Company New Hope branch. This interlocking here is South Carmel. Arriving in Glenside, Pennsylvania. The station building here has been standing since 1873. Glenside is a terminus for some trains. You can see a set of Silverliner 4s in the siding. Those are used for trains to the airport. And behind it is a push-pull set with an ACS 64. There always seems to be a set of that here whenever I travel through this town. This is Carmel interlocking the beginning of the Warminster line, the old Reading New Hope branch. And the Warminster line goes off to the right, and we're continuing down the Bethlehem branch, which will be on until Lansdale.
Yeah, I'm looking at someone, you know, it's down in the city. We have a person that does it.
The Reading Company did a massive electrification of their commuter rail lines outside of Philadelphia in the early 1930s. Arriving at North Hill Station. Previous names here were Edge Hill and North Glenside. Station is North Hills. They're not consistent with the audio announcements on this train. Service for many years, including this particular time, there was half-hourly off-peak service on weekdays to Lansdale with hourly service to Doylestown.
Yeah.
At this particular time, there was half-hourly service extended to Link Belt on weekdays,
Alright.
with hourly service continuing to Doylestown.
Yeah, I have an appointment.
They could do the half-hourly service to Link Belt because between Lansdale and Link Belt, there were no sidings, but they could make a round trip to Link Belt and back in between Doylestown trips. They could not do half-hourly Doylestown trips in both directions because there's only one passing siding en route between Lansdale and Doylestown. When the pandemic began in March of 2020, the Link Belt terminating trains ended.
Is everything is wrong?
This stop, Orland. Watch your step when exiting.
Anybody special? We're going to just
Station is Orland. The original station opened in 1890, but it was rebuilt in 1931.
Let's stop Orland.
Yeah. Right. Is Barry been going with you? Good. Right.
Next stop, North Washington.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Next stop, Fort Washington. This is a wheelchair accessible station.
I got that flu back. Yeah. Well, yeah, now, today's the first day I feel better. I mean, I had a cancel out the line thing. Tuesday night. Of course, I couldn't stop coughing, but I stopped taking those Mucinex when I bought them again. I've been taking them. It's 2 a day, I can take 3 a day. I can take them safe. Taking vitamin C. Well, I am. I feel much better. No, I feel much better today. It's like, well, it was just, well, I know the flu is, well, and you know what? I mean, even in the train, you know, you press all the handles, you touch this, you know, and you can find space. And then I actually put a mask in yesterday to see my mom. And Bruce says, you know, you're I was, well, yeah, and I wasn't sitting down close. I was just purposely staying away. Because I didn't.
The 2 overpasses coming up. The first one is the old Pennsylvania Railroad Trent Cutoff, and the second one is the Pennsylvania Turnpike.
Well, Jim, he was up, I guess you read. Yeah, he was up. He came up last Wednesday. And yeah, she was in the hospital. Yeah.
is Fort Washington.
Next time you come up,
Used to be a Pennsylvania Railroad branch that ran up here.
where she can have a
This is Fort Washington. Current station opened in 1903, and this is located in White Marsh Township in Montgomery County. That Pennsy branch connected off the Pennsy Chestnut Hill branch. As I mentioned, the Fort Washington branch of the Pennsylvania Railroad branched off the Chestnut Hill branch and went up this way, and service ended in 1952. So Fort Washington was a two-railroad town up until then for passenger service.
Great, good. So, when you see Fred, ask him if he wants to go. Yeah. It's a son. I think it's a son.
Crossing was Church Street.
No, I can't. Yeah, it's not like
I w-
Stop, Ambler.
a major street.
Watch the gap when exiting.
Coming into Ambler. I wish this was a quiet car.
Does it really? I don't remember being downstairs.
Station is Ambler. Believe it or not, during the Civil War era, this station was called Wissahickon, named after nearby Wissahickon Creek. The name Ambler came about because a woman by the name of Mary Johnson Ambler helped in the rescue efforts of a train wreck that occurred here in 1856. Believe it or not, back in Reading Company days, there used to be an express rush hour commuter train that went up this way. It was called the Penguin, spelled Gwynne. Sort of a Welsh name, but it sounded like those creatures from the Antarctic. Another nickname for that express train was the Ambler Rambler.
Well, $43. 43. Yep. That's what I think I read this morning. Look it on the internet when you hang up. And then
The crossing we just passed was Butler Avenue.
Next stop, Penland.
Penland is one of those towns around here that was settled by the Welsh many years ago. You have stations like Penland, Gwynedd Valley, and North Wales, hint of the Welsh settlers here.
I don't know if
Penland. Watch your step when exiting.
Penland Station opened in 1930. It's located in Lower Gwinnett Township. Quite a bit of straight track on this branch.
Yeah, fuck you, so thanks. Thank you, Paul.
Interlocking here is Gwinnett, and you'll notice how straight the track is.
Next
This was a
stop,
speedway for
Remake
Reading
Valley.
Company express trains years ago. Back in Reading days, there used to be an express train that went to Bethlehem. It was called the North Penn. It made major stops like out of Reading Terminal, North Broad Street, Wayne Junction, Jenkintown, Ambler, Lansdale, and all stops to Bethlehem. That was from a 1972 timetable. But back in the mid-1950s, the North Penn used to run non-stop from Wayne Junction to Lansdale, and then all stops.
This stop, Gwinnett Valley. Watch your step when exiting.
The crossing was Plymouth Road. This is Gwinnett Valley Station, opened in 1888 and electrified in 1931.
This Lansdale Doylestown Line.
Next stop, North Wales.
Next stop, North Wales. This is a wheelchair accessible station.
Approaching the famous North Wales Cut. It's a famous photographic location. Many Reading Company photographs were gotten here, including those Iron Horse Rambles with the steam engines, which made a racket going through this cut. Ooh. This cut is actually called Gwinnett Cut. When the railroad was built, there was a tunnel through here, but it was daylighted in 1930 when the Reading Company electrified this line. Coming into North Wales Station, we have quite a few crossings. We have Main Street, 2nd Street, 3rd Street, Walnut Street before arriving at the station.
This stop, North Wales. Watch the gap when exiting.
North Wales, the station building opened here in 1873. A very special event occurred in North Wales back in 2019. Back then, the New Hope and Ivanland's Baldwin steam engine number 40 came here and ran several round trips between North Wales and Gwynedd Valley to celebrate the 150th anniversary of North Wales.
Hopefully the rest of the ride will be a bit quieter. He just got off.
And the crossing ahead is Beaver Street.
Next stop, Pembroke. This is a wheelchair accessible station.
With this long tangent of straight track, the North Penn Express back in the 1950s could really roll through here. He made the nonstop run from Wayne Junction to Lansdale in roughly 24 minutes for the 20-odd mile run. The website, the Reading Modeler Inc., has PDFs of Reading timetables going back through the years.
It's been a very strange winter this year. It's more than halfway through February. We haven't had a drop of snow down here or on Long Island for that matter. Not much snow at all this winter. No complaints at all.
Well, pretty soon people are going to have a lot of complaints because in less than a month, the COVID lockdown will begin.
Although I must admit I was kind of hoping to do a video of this branch with a little snow on the ground. It's very pretty with the scenic Doylestown Line.
I was finally able to realize that dream in January of 2024.
This stop, Pembroke. Watch your step when exiting.
And we just passed the Church Road crossing as we arrive at Pembroke. The station opened in 1931.
Next stop, Lansdale.
Next stop, Lansdale. This is a wheelchair accessible station.
Crossing is East Hancock Street.
And we're approaching Lansdale. It's the last stop for some trains here. This is where we enter the Doylestown branch. This town is served by the Pennsylvania Northeastern and CSX. CSX has a branch line that goes down to Norristown. Pennsylvania Northeastern is a short line that serves points on the old Bethlehem branch north of here.
The interlocking approaching where the Stony Creek branch comes in is called Dale.
Yeah, that's the CSX branch on the left turning off. And we'll take you down to the Septa Norristown Elm Street station, which is the terminal for the electrics on the Norristown line.
Crossing coming up is South Broad Street.
This stop, Lansdale. Watch your step when exiting.
And here at Dale, we curve to the right. This is the beginning of the Doylestown branch. Crossing is East Main Street, arriving Lansdale. The station on the left was built in 1902 by the Reading Company. Up until 1981, you could make connections here between MU trains and Bud RDCs to Quakertown, Bethlehem, and Allentown. Today, the Bethlehem branch is served by the Pennsylvania Northeastern Railroad, which runs up to Telford, where it connects with the East Penn Railroad. Yes, we had to wait at Lansdale for a few minutes for a train to come off the branch. You'll see that set of Silverliner 5s coming in. It's single track between here and county interlocking beyond Link Belt. We're heading up the Doylestown branch. Doylestown was reached in 1871 and this line was electrified
Next stop,
in
9th Street,
1931.
Lansdale. This is a wheelchair accessible station.
Signals are guarding the interlocking of lands. Crossing is 5th Street. Next to the crossings at 7th Street and 9th Street, and then we arrive at 9th Street Lansdale Station.
This stop, 9th Street, Lansdale. Watch the gap when exiting.
This is a fairly new station, built in the last few years. Doylestown branch is probably the most scenic branch on the whole Septa Regional Rail.
The 9th Street Lansdale Station was opened in November of 2015. The Doylestown branch has always been a favorite of mine. It's fairly scenic once you get a little ways past Lansdale and into Doylestown.
Next stop, Fortuna.
just passed the crossing at Walnut Street. This warehouse on the right is the only freight customer on the Doylestown branch. It's served by the Pennsylvania Northeastern at night.
This stop, Fortuna. Watch the gap when exiting.
And we are at Fortuna Station. Interesting way that it got its name. The grade crossing before the station is Cowpath Road. And years ago, the Reading Railroad ran over a cow here and killed it. And to pay homage to the cow, they named the station Fortuna.
Next stop, Colmar. This is a wheelchair accessible station. This stop, Colmar. Watch the gap when exiting.
Station is Colmar. The grade crossing was Bethlehem Pike, otherwise known as Pennsylvania Route 309. This station back in the Civil War era was called Line Lexington. It opened in 1856.
Ooh, there's some train coming at us on the other side of the link belt siding.
Next stop, link belt. This is a wheelchair accessible station.
Compared to Reading Company days, service on this line is pretty frequent. Runs pretty much every hour. Back in Reading days, off-peak service was every 2 hours, sometimes every 3 hours. And we are approaching the Link Belt station, which opened in 1952. Up until the start of the pandemic, they ran off-hour weekday service every half hour to this point.
This stop, link belt.
This stop, link belt.
That Philadelphia-bound train is on the main, so we'll be going through the siding. Trains out of Doylestown are superior by direction, I believe.
And we are approaching the only passing siding on the Doylestown branch. The interlocking at this end is county, and the interlocking at the other end of the siding is school.
Next stop, Chalfont. This is a wheelchair accessible station.
Crossing is County Line Road as we pass from Montgomery to Bucks County.
Well, the dispatcher has cleared us at the other end of the siding. Line back to the main.
Those flashing green signals that you've seen along this ride pretty much means that the train can proceed per cab signal indication. And we come off the passing siding at School interlocking, and the crossing was Schoolhouse Road.
This kind of reminds me of the New Jersey Transit's Gladstone branch.
Yes, this branch is definitely scenic, although it's getting a little more built up compared to when my brother and I walked on this branch back in November of 1988. It was really quite rustic out here. Yes, none of these residences you see on the left were here back then. This was all woods and farm country.
This stop, Chalfont. Watch the gap when exiting.
And this is the Chalfont station. Chalfont gets its name from the community in Buckinghamshire, England called Chalfont St. Giles. William Penn's first wife was from there, and William Penn himself is buried in a cemetery at Chalfont St. Giles.
Next stop, New Britain. This is a wheelchair accessible station.
passed over the recently rebuilt Butler Avenue crossing. Crossing was Sand Road.
This stop, New Britain. Watch the gap when exiting.
Crossing is Tayman End Avenue as we arrive into New Britain. New Britain got its name from Welsh Baptist settlers who arrived in the area and named it after their homeland.
Next stop, Delaware Valley University. This is a wheelchair accessible station.
The crossing was Beulah Road. And that crossing was South Shady Retreat Road.
This stop, Delaware Valley University. Watch the gap when exiting.
Next station is Delaware Valley University. Up until 2015, it was called Delaware Valley College. But when the college changed its name, so did the station name.
Okay, our next and final stop will be Doylestown, Pennsylvania. It's the county seat of Bucks County. Very pleasant town with a lot of shops and restaurants. It's also the home of University of Scranton women's basketball star Mackenzie Mason. I saw her perform a couple of weeks ago in Scranton, and she was getting basket after basket.
University of Scranton has an outstanding medical curriculum. My granddaughter is getting her graduate degree this May in physical therapy, and the individual that I mentioned that was the basketball star is an occupational therapist today.
Next and last stop, Doylestown. This is a wheelchair accessible station.
This beautiful pastoral farm scene on the right is owned by Delaware Valley University. It's for their agricultural curriculum. crossing coming up is Lower State Road.
I believe this is Highway US 202.
Shame on you, retired rail fan horn guy. I always prided myself on having some knowledge of geography. That's actually Pennsylvania Route 611. If you take that road south far enough, it'll take you right down to Philadelphia City Hall. The interlocking coming up is Long. That's the start of a siding which takes you into Doylestown and Doylestown Yard. This track between Long and Doyle could act as a passing siding for trains that meet just outside of the Doylestown station. Sometimes the Doylestown line gets overrun with Silverliner 5s. A friend of mine on numerous occasions has gone into the yard here and saw rows and rows of nothing but Silverliner 5s. What an alluring and exquisite sight that would have been. This restricting signal is heralding the approach of Doyle interlocking.
Doylestown is the last stop on this train. Watch your step when exiting.
Yeah, that's very obvious. Yeah, midday on a weekday. The yard is empty.
Well, these 3-yard tracks will be full of trains tonight as we arrive Doylestown. The station was built in 1873 and currently houses a barber shop. And there's the end of track at Doylestown, and beyond that is South Clinton Street.